il falsetto, and how it relates to diction. One hears a lot of different theories, some of them more amusing than others, about how falsetto is produced and what's its point and when it should be used and why. Tomatis said that the real voice, the voce piena, was nothing but a falsetto aggiustato, an adjusted falsetto. He said that everything can be rehearsed on the position of the falsetto and then brought to the full speed just with a bout of energy. Beniamino Gigli used to sing in playback in front of the mirror, listening to his own good records, and he just mimicked the position in front of a mirror in order to make sure not to go too wide, not to go too bright, not to make too many movements that could misplace his voice and displace his voice. But if you're not Beniamino Gigli and if you do not have wonderful recordings of yourself, what you can do is definitely use the falsetto, because the falsetto will expand your vocal range and it will teach you to pronounce in vocal registers that are far away from your spoken one, from your usually spoken one. Falsetto is definitely a modality of the voice that allows us to safely explore our speech. Pretty much what weightlifters do when they work out. If they worked out all the time in full mode, with full energy, with all of the physical weight they are actually going to lift in the competition, they would strain for no reason. But what they do with very small weights is to work out on the movement, perfectioning the lever that will lead them to lift an enormous amount of weight, for which they have to counterweight sufficiently anyway, without getting tired. That's what falsetto is for the human voice. To speak in the extreme frontiers of your voice without getting tired. And once you have perfectioned that mechanism, you will just apply the amount of energy you need to obtain the dynamics you need to obtain, and that's where the full voice will come out. The problem is that when you usually apply some energy to the sound in order to obtain the full voice, you change the setting of the instrument. You start acting on the wrong muscles and you start choking yourself, because whatever we contract when we're singing in this area is like a physical hand choking us and preventing the larynx to vibrate freely. The tongue is completely dead, completely loose, just as I'm still talking right now without doing pretty much anything. Let's remember that the root of the tongue is attached to the larynx, which contacts the first vertebra when vibrating. That puts the resonance, in circle through the skull and through the bones, because the circulation of vibration is via solid. The larynx vibrates freely if the instrument is free, and therefore if the tongue is completely relaxed, because if this muscle, the root of the tongue, is contracted, it will tighten up this area, and it will prevent the larynx to vibrate freely. Whatever we can do properly in falsetto, we can actually do in full voice, but the difficulty is in not misplacing the falsetto position when we go into the full voice. So falsetto is a great ally, and it transforms in full voice whenever we give the phrase, the vowel, we give what we're saying a different amount of energy. Technically, when we give a different counterweight to what we're saying, Italian bel canto technique is based on appoggio. Appoggiare means to lay something down on something else. And sostegno. Sostegno, sustain, something that comes from below. So appoggio falls from above. Sostegno goes up from below. So it's basically, bel canto is a matter of weight and counterweight. Weight and counterweight, which creates a balance. The amount of energy is mental. The amount of counterweight to that amount of energy is physical. So the response to that energy is physical. What will transform the falsetto into full voice is the instinctive amount of counterweight we give to that falsetto, to the amount of energy we give to the phrase and to the amount of counterweight that instinctively and instantaneously our body will give to that phrase, to that sound. So basically what I mean by falsetto is a completely relaxed position with no counterweight, because the minute we add counterweight to our voice, we will somehow open the positions, obtain resonance, and boom, have the full voice. Hello. Hi, honey. How are you? Oh, yeah, I know. How are you? Hi, honey. Counterweight and opening go together. It's impossible to counterweight the voice without opening the instrument and giving it resonance. They always go together. Hi, honey. How are you? Hi, honey. How are you? Hi, honey. How are you? Okay, I'm not opening anything, so I'm being a little nasal. I'm speaking in some sort of falsetto, not appoggiata. I'm not doing anything. The minute I want to open the instrument and do the same thing with the instrument open, I have to counterweight. My diaphragm will open, my rib cage will open, and so my hi honey, how are you? Will become hi honey, hi honey, how are you? Hi honey, how are you? This is mezza voce because here the instrument is open. I am counterweighting. Hi honey, how are you? Hi honey, how are you? Hi honey, how are you? Whatever. I am counterweighting. I am opening and therefore counterweighting. This is mezza voce. It's not falsetto. If I gave a different type of energy, not even amount of energy, but a different type of energy to the same phrase, I would obtain full voice. Let's say a forte. Hi honey, how are you? 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 Falsetto. Hi honey, how are you? Mezza voce. Hi honey, how are you? So the falsetto is a real friend. If we do not compromise the diction, the only thing we have to make sure when we rehearse what we're doing in falsetto is that we have the language right in our mind. Technically, falsetto is pure head voice without appoggio. Just the so said head resonances without appoggio. And there is nothing fake about it. Falsetto often has a weird negative undertone to it, maybe because of the word falso that describes it, but there's nothing, because of course it's produced by the false corde, the so said false corde, but there's nothing fake about it. In fact, we use it in our everyday speech, men and women. Whenever we say, oof, I'm so tired, that ooh is falsetto, or whenever we say, what? Okay, so men and women do have falsetto. Men and women use it daily to express themselves. Of course, to express themselves a little, beyond the usual lines, let's say. But falsetto is an everyday escape of the voice, is an everyday escamotage of the voice to reach, without weight, areas of the voice that are usually reserved to the expression of somehow special feelings.